Oh, hello, ladies and gentlemen. We are back and we are in the land of retail, right? Where you're going to live for, well, I don't know you. You may not live in this land. If you want to make a living as a cinematographer, you'll probably be here for an extended period of time. The only reason we are looking at this retail ad, right? Like, we can watch it as we do it. This is son, father. He just told him he'd like to be a cinematographer. Dad's like, never gonna happen. And they say, get your money on. Okay, the only reason we're looking at this is because it's a good example of when you're on location, what are the steps that you take to, number one, figure out what light you're gonna use, the look that you're gonna be able to get away with, and the angle that you're gonna take inside of a space. This is the way that I would do it if I was on set. I don't know if this is the way that whoever shot this did this. But to determine what light we are going to need, right? Again, this is classic frameworky stuff. We're looking into the corner of the room. We're going to light through this window over here or through this doorway that you can't see, right? Because then it makes balancing to this, all this stuff out here that we cannot control, right? Because what are we going to do? We can't, yeah, maybe you could ND the windows, but it's going to be a nightmare. You can't put a net over the windows. You can't control the sky unless this is green screen. Let's just imagine it's actually a location and you can't do any of that stuff. You have to balance to what you can't control, and that is the exterior. So what do you do if you show up on set, right? You plonk the camera down, you put the lens on that you think is going to do a halfway decent job. You look through the eyepiece, and then you just use the iris to set the level of the background, the light levels that you want the background to be at. You set it with the iris, okay? Then you know the stop that you're going to be working at, right? If this reads, again, if this reads T16, right? We know we're going to shoot this wide open, so we're going to shoot it at T2. But we like the way that this looks at 800 ISO at T16. Okay, well that solves all of our calculations going forward for the key light that we are going to want. Because you're probably going to want this 2 stops over, right? Or a stop and a half, or maybe lower if you like something even moodier. But let's say we're going to want this background 2 stops over, right? So that means if in here, if this is T16 where we like it, that means in here is going to be what? 16, 11s, 8s. We got to get 8s in here. Now, is 8 going to be coming through this window? No, it's not. So we're going to need a light. And we're able to figure out, okay, what light do we need based on the level that we need in combination with the softness that we desire, right? Because we're not just going to put a bare 18K out there. We're going to want to soften it off so these people look halfway decent. So then you start to make these calculations. It's not like you're actually doing this, right? You're the cinematographer. You're at the craft table having tea and crumpets while someone else is working, right? You just shout these things out and hopefully someone picks them up. If no one picks them up, you need to look at getting a different crew, right? Because the crew's job is to do the work. Your job to have the coffee. And that's not true, but it's a good way to think about it. They do all of the actual working and you take all of the glory. So for here, again, if we want this 2 stops over, we know exactly what we need just by using the iris. Like you don't have to get out your light meter. You can if you want to look cool around your friends. You can get out the light meter, or you can just do it with false color. You know, you can do the exact same thing with false color to figure out the stop differentiation between here and in here. As soon as we do that, okay, well now it comes down to the softness that we want, comes down to the look that we want. You know, do we want to soft hob this thing where we put a slash across here so this guy has soft light on the face, hard light on the body down here? What are we going to do for him when we come around and do coverage? Is it going to be soft light for him? Is he going to stay in this weird sort of half light? The answer to that question is really easy. It is also another fantastic lesson, which is when we're going to switch camera angles, should we make it match or should we just make it look nice? The answer is always just make it look nice. Watch what happens here. We go from this angle, again, really flat on the face. You imagine if we're in a close-up here, it's going to be just flat. You might get a little something on his ear, which isn't very attractive, but really this shot is about, I mean, the lighting is for this guy, right? Beautiful light on him. Come to, holy Lord, what? Like we softened it way off. We brought it way around to the front, way more level all the way across his face. And then we added, can we add a little backlight as well? So we get this happening over here. The sun completely changed directions. It changed level. Does anybody care? Nope. Right? Just make it look nice on the day. That doesn't match at all. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. This is another good little trick. Say for some reason, if you weren't shooting on a full frame camera or you weren't shooting on a Super 35 camera that, you know, you were able to open up the master primes. Say this was just a little bit more in focus. This is a good trick where you just put the diffusion right? Put like a highlight right up against the window, or a half soft frost, right? Just right up against the window. So it looks like, oh, the actual window is diffused, but it's out of focus enough that you can't actually make out that this is behind the window, right? You just want to frost it up a little bit. So that's a good trick as well. But that's basically the idea. Light it for the wide. You see somebody walking by over here. This is for sure craft services. Going, oh, we're out of Twizzlers. They're running to get some. You feel a little float in there as well. That little move, just a little camera move back and forth. Make it feel real. And we're out. 3 shots. What are you going to do? You're going to do this in, a morning, which is nice. And this is one of those ones where you would think, oh, they want the sun coming through the window here, right? Because we want all this. No, you'd want to schedule it the exact opposite. You don't want any natural sun coming through here, right? You want the sun on the other side of the building over here. You can see it hitting up here on this plant back here because we want to bring our own light. We don't want to rely on the sun. We don't want any of that. That's problems. We're going to fake it because that's more expensive and it makes it look like we know what we're doing. So do it that way instead. Okay, that is going to do it for this one. Never match anything, just make it look nice and don't care about the levels. And we will see you in the next one.